Welcome to the 100 Club. I'm Tom and joined by Rich, and we are now 1 month away from the cricket T20 Men's World Cup starting 15th of October. So it's time for our squad previews with the teams announced. Rich, are you looking forward to the World Cup?
I'm extremely excited. We've been waiting 5 years for a T20 World Cup and it's nearly here. So let's get right into it.
Well, it's not here. It's over in the United Arab Emirates. Certainly not in India like it was going to be. All good. They've got a venue. It's all lined up. And so let's get straight into the format, shall we? And just have a look at exactly what the teams need to do.
Yes, if I told you there was 16 teams in the tournament, you'd think, okay, 4 groups of 4 goes into quarterfinals, semi-finals, final. Surely that's the simplest way to do it. But no, this is an ICC tournament, so nothing can be simple. so instead, we're going to have 2 preliminary groups, Group A and Group B. They'll play each other, 3 games each. The top 2 will qualify for Group 1 and Group 2, as you can see there, and join the 8 teams that are already pre-qualified for the Super 12 stage, even though there's 6 teams in each group. They'll play each other in their group, 5 games each. The top 2 teams will qualify for the semi-finals, and then we'll have a final in Dubai on November the 14th to crown our champion.
Okay, so essentially what you've got is a Super 8, which are the biggest T20 teams in the world. Fair enough.
Well, not so Super 8. Pre-qualified 8.
Pre-qualified. I'm calling them the Super 8, who are going to get the company of 4 others from the pre-qualified groups A and B. So in Group A, we have Sri Lanka, Ireland, Netherlands, and Namibia. Anyone you particularly fancy out of those to go through?
Yeah, I think. Well, this is a tough one.
It is a tough one, I think.
For somebody who is a proud Irishman as well as Englishman. I think Sri Lanka and Netherlands are going to get out of this one. I really like the look of that Dutch pace attack. Brandon Glover, Freddie Klaassen, Tim van der Gutten. As long as the batters can get enough, I think that batting attack looks strong. And I think Sri Lanka, they've struggled a little bit in recent years, but I think they'll have enough to get out of that group.
Yeah, they've looked a bit better over the last month. They've got a new mystery spinner whose name escapes me, but I think he's a youngster. We'll keep an eye out for him. David Visa playing for the Namibians this time, but ultimately I don't think they'll offer much. Group B, Bangladesh, Scotland, Papua New Guinea and Oman. Looks like a more straightforward progression probably for Bangladesh and Scotland, right?
Well, Bangladesh, certainly. I mean, they're on a tremendous tear at the minute. Series wins over both Australia and New Zealand. Now, they weren't playing full-strength sides, and there was some argument about the quality of the pitches they were using. But even so, those are marquee wins. So I think Bangladesh get out of that group relatively easily. The Scots bring a ton of experience, the likes of Kyle Kurtz, Richie Berrington, Callum McLeod. I mean, there's sort of thousands of caps in that Scotland squad. So plus Brad Wheel, who we saw in the 100 for the London Spirit, quite an exciting quick bowler. So yeah, perhaps Scotland have enough there to get ahead of Papua New Guinea and Oman. Yeah,
Papua New Guinea haven't done much in the recent games that they've been enjoying, and Oman, I think they've got loads of experience. I think they've only got 2 debutants in the squad, but probably not enough. So those group matches start Sunday the 15th of October and will run for the first 6 days of the tournament. After which we will then get into Group 1 and 2 in the Super 12. And that is from October the 23rd, which is a Saturday. And the first game of all is England-West Indies, which already got me rubbing my hands with joy. But I thought we might have a bit of a deep
Well, of course, because it's a replay of the final from 2016, of course.
Exactly. We'll not have that result repeated.
Well, we won't. Well, neither Ben Stokes or Carlos Brathwaite is involved. So.
That is true, yeah.
We'll get to that in a minute.
We might well do. So what I thought we were going to do, to have a look at the main event of the competition, have a look at each of those big 8 teams in some detail. Let's have a look at the squads, assess their chances, and answer some of the big questions that are going on with them. So we'll start with Group 1, and starting with A for Australia, of course. So the Aussies announced their squad. What do you think of it, Rich?
So they brought back most of the big guns. Some of the Aussie players haven't toured this year. Obviously, it's been a bit difficult getting in and out of Australia with the need to do the quarantining. The one sort of uncapped player coming in is Josh Inglis, who we saw playing for Leicester in the London Spirit this summer in England. And I think that's well deserved. He's a very exciting young wicketkeeper batter. Otherwise, mostly sort of players who are quite familiar to us. The one player I didn't know a lot about was Mitchell Swepson, leggy from Queensland, but he's actually got quite an impressive record. 11 wickets in his 7 matches at an average of 15, and an economy rate of 7.5, which isn't too bad for a spinner. So, yeah, it looks a pretty strong squad on paper, lots of experience.
Yeah, and so I mean, there's plenty of experience, and that's almost a concern for me. So I've got 3 questions that I've put down the bottom there. I want any team to answer. Starting with the Australians, lack of match practice, because ultimately they haven't, as a team, come together because of COVID, because of the schedule that they've been allowed to play together. And when they haven't looked so great. They've lost to the Bangladeshis, they've lost to the West Indies. And what they have got, though, as you say, bags of experience, but pretty much all of that squad is over 30 now. So this is last chance saloon for that lot of that squad. I think they're probably going to come up short. Do you fancy their chances more than me?
No, I'm with you. I mean, famous last words, and I could go and win it now.
Never write off the Australians.
Currently ranked 7th in the world, which is a bit of a surprise. They've never won this tournament. The best they did was a runner-up back in 2010. Questions 1 and 2. Quite a lot of that squad will be involved in the IPL. We haven't mentioned the IPL yet. The IPL starts later this week and will run more or less up to the start of the T20 World Cup. So that gives the players, and that will be held in the UAE as well. So it gives a lot of these players a chance to get themselves into a bit of form and a bit of practice. But that issue at the end, the aging squad, is T20 young man's game. I guess time will tell.
Yeah, a lot resting on the shoulders of Aaron Finch, who'll be the captain for that squad as well. But he'll have plenty of wise heads around him, at least, I suppose they can say. So, second, alphabetically, at least, in Group 1, is, of course, England. Rich, what do you make of the England squad for the World Cup?
I was pretty happy with it. I think I'd advocated over the summer that I thought Tim Mills should be involved, both for his form for Sussex, but also his form for Southern Brave, where I thought he was the standout bowler of the 100. It does mean it's a bit of an embarrassment of riches when it comes to left-arm quicks, and I see that you have Willie ahead of Mills in your sort of starting 11 there. I'm not sure that necessarily happens, but otherwise, I mean, they're ranked number 1 in the world at the minute. They came off 3 wins earlier in the summer against Sri Lanka. Really smashed Sri Lanka in that. It wasn't really particularly close. And they've got sort of a real informed batter in Liam Livingstone, who's kind of made that number 4 spot his own. So it looks strong all round. And I like the fact that you've included David Malan at 3. I think that's where the sort of most controversy would be at the minute with England team.
So maybe he's not in the greatest of form, but David Malan is still a great T20 player and acts as a spine around which the rest of that aggressive backing unit can form itself. I should explain as well that the squads that I've got there, moving left to right for 11, they're largely drawn from a recent series, or as best as I can, using the squads that I've been given, based on what they've been picking recently. Hence, David Willey is in there because, of course, he had a fantastic few games against Sri Lanka and has had a good run of form in an England shirt. I've picked Moeen Ali as my player to watch as well, with the picture there. I do think he can absolutely unpick any bowling attack if he gets into some form out there. And actually, his spin is going to be quite a big thing, I think, for England, because I don't think, apart from him and Adil Rashid, there's that much in terms of spin option if the pitches are particularly slow.
I suppose you have Liam Livingstone as a third spin option.
Yeah, you do, but I wouldn't call him a frontline spin option.
No, not at all.
And so we'll see what those pitches do. But if they do what they usually do in the UAE, you'll probably want at least a couple of good spinners in there.
Quality, not quantity, though, when it comes to spin. In terms of Moeen, a final rounder, Adil Rashid is currently ranked 3rd in the world. Yeah, he's got an economy rate of 7, strike rate of 21, and he's going out to the IPL for the first time as well. So he's quite a few of that squad will be involved in the IPL. We talked about the high-profile withdrawals, so the likes of Chris Wokes, Joss Butler, I think because his wife's just had a second child, have pulled out of the tournament. But I think Jason Roy will be there, Moeen will be there, Liam Livingstone, Morgan will be captaining, Kolkata, and I think Chris Jordan and as I said, Rashid as well. So quite a lot of that team, like the Australians, will be getting some experience of those pitches in the UAE in the build-up to it.
And I suppose the last point for me here is, I've mentioned end of season blues there. I suppose you could say that about a lot of the teams at the moment. They play a lot of cricket, but it is the end of the domestic season here in England. They've been on the road in bubbles a lot. And we know that has had some effect on the England team, notably to date. We'll see.
I think that's an important point, Tom, because these are very strange circumstances. The fact that the IPL was cancelled earlier in the year and the second half of it's being played now has put tremendous pressure on the schedule. we're seeing we've already seen the test series curtailed early. Now, there's speculation as to whether that was to do with the IPL or not. I mean, let's not talk about it here. This Caribbean Premier League finishes tomorrow, and then the players are almost immediately over there. The IPL finishes, and then they're almost immediately into the T20 World Cup. So I think at some point, the ICC and the boards need to have a conversation around the scheduling, because it's getting untenable where one top competition just merges into the next.
Yeah, well, I can't keep enough video recordings going to keep up with it. So. Let alone with the women's cricket as well, Rich.
Basically, for us, as much as anybody else, just give us a little less cricket to cover, please.
Yeah, I'm on the verge of a divorce here, people. No, we're all right. But I'll get back to the cricket here.
Yeah.
I do think England look like a really strong squad. I'd fancy them to get out of the group, but, disagree with me?
No, agree with you. As I said, they're ranked number 1 at the minute. They've also won their most recent series against those other big teams in the group. So, they're going with some form. Yeah, I think they would be disappointed as a squad if they don't make the semi-finals.
Yeah, and I think if the next 2 teams go as I expect, I think the next team that we're going to chat about is probably the most dangerous in terms of who could cost England a spot in the finals, and that is the South Africans. In good form, albeit perhaps against some lesser opposition, and an interesting squad as well. What do you make of them?
So I think you've missed the elephant in the room in your key questions, which is how the squad... which just goes to show how much you consult me before you put these up. I thought the really interesting thing was that Faf du Plessis, Imran Tahir and Chris Morris were all available. They'll all be involved in the IPL and UAE, but they've all been left out of the squad. It's a deliberate decision to move on, to go with a younger squad. Temba Bavuma, he's coming off thumb surgery. He should be back in time. But they've clearly drawn a line over previous failures and decided they're going to go with this squad. There was a great quote by Tabriz Shamsi. He said, "Well, perhaps not as bad as people think," which is
pretty rich coming from the number 1 T20 ICC ranked player in the world at the moment.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So be intrigued to see how they go.
Okay. Well, I didn't share the concerns that you've got with them actually moving on from some of the older players. They haven't been playing with them in their recent internationals so much. I think they've actually got a bit more cohesion than most teams we're going to see in the championships. So what I do worry about is whether they've got enough balance. They're quite reliant, I think, on Shamsi, unless they make space for Maharaj as well, which they could, but I think that comes at a cost for one of their, frankly, pretty amazing fast bowlers in Rabada, Ngidi and Norki. So I want to see how they're going to fit that together. And I worry about the batting lineup on occasion can go missing.
Yeah, our friend, the analyst Dan Weston, commented that the boundary percentage in the middle order is much lower than other teams. And if you take boundary percentage as a proxy for kind of strike rate, then that could be a worry. But, they've certainly got match winners throughout the side there, and Quinton de Kock's playing as well as he ever has.
Yeah, and if they take the wickets that attacking lineup Quicks could offer, then batting will sort itself out almost. Okay, now perhaps the most exciting team in the tournament for me, but always one of the least predictable, is the West Indies. Now, if you want to see some talent on display, have a look at that squad. What do you think of that one, Rich?
Well, I think they look strong. And we've seen a lot of these guys over the last few weeks in the Caribbean Premier League. Delighted to say, Tom, that there's a prospect still that the final could be between your St. Lucia Kings and my St. Kitts Nevis Patriots. After our 2 teams in the 100 picked up played it out for the wooden spoon, and we're on a roll at the minute, Tom. Kent and Somerset in finals day.
Great. Just don't mention the county championship.
What a time to be alive. I was delighted to see Ravi Rampal get back in the squad. He hasn't been in for 6 years, so bit of a surprise, but he deserves it. Carlos Brathwaite, as we mentioned, he's missed out, and also a player I know that you like a lot, Roston Chase, comes in.
Roston Chase, it certainly does come in. And this is the squad I've taken most liberties with against their recent team picking, not least because a lot of the players, away on the franchise circuit and don't always make themselves available for the West Indies series. But I also don't think the West Indies are very good at picking their best team a lot of the time. So at the moment, would you pick Chris Gale to bat in that lineup?
No, probably
Not really.
wouldn't.
But yeah, he will play. Absolutely.
Yeah.
And he'll bowl a bit as well, which I think is almost unbelievable because he did bowl in the recent series as well.
Well, I think the universe boss is perhaps getting picked on reputation a little bit. I mean, I wouldn't have Nick Poran batting low as 5. But
you could say it for a few players. So you wonder whether they're going to pick Ravi Rampal and Len, and Fabian Allen. But for me, I'd want Obed McCoy and O'Shane Thomas in there for some raw youth pace and something really exciting. The stuff I associate with West Indian cricket. So there's questions about what team turns up and whether they get it right. But in raw talent terms, pretty amazing.
Yeah, and of course, as I said, they've got the pedigree. They're defending champions from 2016. They also won it in 2012 as well. So they know how to navigate these tournaments. And you do have those 5 games to get through before the semi-finals, plus including the 2 against the qualifying teams. So perhaps it gives you a little bit time to sort of work out your best 11 ready for the knockouts. But you're right; they need to figure that out pretty quickly. But I think they've got sort of a smart coach in Roger Harper.
Maybe I do them a disservice. And one player I would like, looking forward to seeing again, is Hayden Walsh. I don't know if you've caught him before, the spinner. He's actually played a fair amount recently in series, and I do think he'll get some overs over there in a rotation system at least. So not a bad group. For me, it's England and West Indies are looking like the favourites. Any other predictions in terms of Group 1?
No, I think that's fair. I think England plus 1 out of the Windies and Australia, and perhaps South Africa to spring an upset.
No. Aussies are coming ranked bottom on that group. Even once you've added the 2 from Group A and B. I shouldn't say such things. I'm tempting fate. Let's move quickly to Group 2, where top of the list in the alphabetical circumstances anyway, it is Afghanistan. Now, difficult questions to answer for Afghanistan, not all of a cricket nature.
Yes. Anything happened in Afghanistan recently, Tom?
Oh, yeah, not great. Not great news.
Yeah, difficult one. We don't know if they will be allowed to take part in the tournament. It is a stipulation of the ICC that you must field a women's team as well as a men's team if you are to take part in ICC tournaments. And the news in the last kind of week or so is that the new government in Afghanistan have no intention of allowing women to play cricket. So if the ICC does have any cojones, then you would argue that Afghanistan won't take part in this tournament. I don't know what that does for the format, whether they just sort of create an extra space for one of the qualifying teams. That probably would make the most sense. But let's work on the assumption that, for one reason or another, they are there. It looks a reasonable team. But of course, Rashid Khan was captain for how long? 23 minutes?
Yeah, something like that. Long enough for a very overcooked egg. No, but it was an understandable statement from him. He, as captain, a 22-year-old captain, no less, standing up immediately and saying, "This isn't the team I'm going to captain if we're going to the World Cup. I resign immediately." And off they go. But into cricketing terms, there's plenty of talent in there. I really like Karim Jannat, who has played well in recent series. You've got Qais Ahmed, you've got Mujib Ur-Rahman, plenty of Mohammed Nabi, of course, plenty of standards from the franchise circuit. What the team haven't done as an international team necessarily is played the best quality opposition or in the highest profile tournaments in the past.
Yeah, I think they only have sort of 3 wins against elite nations across time. Obviously, done enough to qualify in the top 8. 3 wins against the other top 8. I like Zadran as well. When I've seen him go, as you said, Qais Ahmed.
Which one? Shapur, the quick.
No, Jabula, no, the batter, big hitter. Yeah. Qais Ahmed is sort of one of my favourite players at the minute. He's absolutely fantastic down at Kent this summer. So and lots of reserves there as well for us to potentially have a look at. So every time I see them play, I sort of find new players that. One thing you can say about Afghanistan, their brand of cricket is must watch, right? Yeah, whether they're winning or losing, they are must watch.
Yeah, fearless stuff. So yeah, that you're right. There is good talent there, and as I mentioned, Shapur Zadran there, who's a quick bowler. Good one to watch. Comes in, it's great sort of stare on his face, and really puts bends his back into the delivery, which we always like to see. It is okay. Should we talk about India?
Yes.
Okay.
Because no one else is.
No one will mention the India team. Okay, what do you think of that?
Well, they look strong. I mean, they're ranked second at the minute. They won it back in 2007. It's almost as much as who isn't there as who is there. Not like in terms of South Africa. It's just guys who couldn't get into the squad, because it's so strong. So, Shikhar Dhawan misses out. Krunal Pandya misses out. Washington Sundar isn't involved. So, when players that good can't get into the 15, then you're thinking, this is a serious cricket squad. And I like the fact that MS Dhoni's been appointed official team mentor, just to lighten the load for Ravi Shastri, I guess, during this tournament.
Yeah, lighten the load for Ravi Shastri, or lighten the load for Virat Kohli, who might be wondering when he's going to win a series. I suppose he's going to series. I don't want to throw stones at that beehive. Hasn't won a tournament, say, for a little while.
No, he's never won a tournament. A major ICC tournament. Yeah, there might be some other ones he's won, but he's not won a T20 World Cup or a 50-over World Cup. And
that's what I meant.
And he's yes. Please don't write in, and please comment, but nice comments. And he's absolutely. I'm sure he's absolutely desperate to get his hands on this one.
Yeah, well, the helping hand of MS Dhoni, all joking apart, is surely going to help. The question I had though is the re-inclusion of Ashwin back in the T20 fold. Clearly, we've seen him around the other squads recently for India, but not again being used so much. Where does he fit in with this T20 squad?
Well, I mean, you've made the point around the need for spin options in the UAE. I think you made that point around England, only having Ali and Rashid as frontline spinners. So I think you go in with this as the team you got with Jadeja and Chahar, and I think Jadeja's spot is cemented in the side because what he brings with the bat, and also is probably one of the best fielders in the world too. But I think you could have some scenarios where you might be looking to go with three spinners if the pitch takes it. In which case you might play him ahead of Yadav, I suppose. I don't think you would drop Pandya because you need him for his back end hitting. But that's potentially where you might see him. Otherwise, I think, and then it does come down to how much Pandya can bowl, because he has had some issues in the last kind of year or so with his back in terms of how much bowling he can do. But when he can bowl, he brings a fantastic balance to that side.
Yeah, and I think this is a squad more than almost any other where they can rotate quite happily. I mean, again, I've tried to pull a squad, first 11 together from what they've played recently, but they have the strength there. You wouldn't be surprised to see Akshar Patel get some games. Mohammad Shami certainly not. Ishan Kishan might dip out on a few as well.
And of course, we always say in cricket in terms of that, everybody loves Test cricket and Test cricket's the pinnacle. But it turns out Timar Mills isn't a huge fan, because he was quoted as saying that he doesn't normally like watching Test cricket, but he'll make an exception when Rishabh Pant is batting. So, I mean, that's high praise indeed from Tamal for the Indian wicketkeeper.
That is. I mean, there is something to be said for watching. I think I'd make space in my diary to watch it as well, but not necessarily for the right reasons. Okay.
Of course, they open their campaign, Tom, on the 24th of October against the old enemy, who are
Pakistan.
New Zealand.
Sorry. You're setting me up for more trouble.
Of course, no, it's Pakistan on the 24th of October. Who they have a tremendous record against in tournaments. I don't think they've ever lost to them in a major in a T20 or a 50-over tournament. Incredible who do India have over Pakistan.
Given we're recording live, I'm not going to check that right now, but I'll take your word for it.
Almost never. I don't think they have ever. If they have, it's only been maybe once. But amazing record.
Okay, well, let's have a look at that New Zealand squad. And I think there's been some interesting selection issues with this lot as well, because, I mean, we talk about strength and depth, and for a lot of these teams, there's real strength and depth in New Zealand cricket. We've talked about it on the channel before, and they've come up with a list that I'm not sure I would have done for their squad. What do you think of it?
I think that there's an embarrassment of riches in Kiwi cricket at the minute. I think they decided to send out a squad of 32 players for their different tools. Basically sent a B squad out to Bangladesh, and I think they've got another series out somewhere else. And then they're focusing on the A squad will go to the T20 World Cup. The big one for me is Adam Milne only being there as injury cover, not making the 15. That's very surprising for me, especially that you see that Lockie Ferguson is in, and I thought that Milne has had a much better summer than Ferguson. But otherwise, and then Finn Allen, of course, misses out as well, which we were a little bit surprised at too, because we think he's been pretty good recently. So I agree with you. Yeah, wouldn't have been my 15 if I was a Kiwi selector, which I am not.
You're not. I mean, they've got perhaps my favourite two opening quicks as it is, even without someone like Adam Milne in Carl Jameson, Trent Bolt, going to rip it up again, I think. Ish Sodhi is a very good spin option. Do they have much to back him up if that needs it? Well, Mitch Santner, I suppose, but not my fave. And the batting looks strong. So I think they're going to put in a strong challenge. Can they get out of the group stages, the Super 12 for you?
Yeah, I think they can. I think that group is quite open. I think India will qualify for the knockout stages, but I think it's sort of between those other three we've talked about. Probably really coming down to New Zealand or Pakistan for that additional spot, but pretty open. And I would say in Mitch Santner's defence, he's a very effective T20 bowler because he's quite a tall chap, and he doesn't really flight it so much in the T20 stuff. He can really kind of spear it in. It's quite on a kind of a low, slow deck. It's very, very tricky to get away. So I think he can be quite an effective campaigner in the UAE.
We'll see. The other thing to mention with Group 2, which is what we're going through here, nearly complete, is that will be getting the winner of Group B into it. Now, if you go on form, that's probably going to be Bangladesh, and that could really change this group up in particular.
That can put the cat amongst the pigeons. One team that won't be in that group is Hong Kong, but that doesn't matter because Mark Chapman, who played for them at the 2014-2016 editions, has jumped ship and elected to play for New Zealand in this one. So,
it's not the only person to play in consecutive World Cups for different teams. Do you know the other one?
No, go
on. David Visa played for South Africa last time. Now with the Namibians. There you go. Yeah. Moving on though, the last
had a good day today, didn't he, for the St. Lucia Kings? David Visa
certainly did. Yeah,
big fifer in the semi-final. That's what you want.
He's got wheels. Okay, Pakistan. What do you make of them?
Well, with Pakistan, is it a cliche? Is it cliche to say you're never quite going to know what you're going to get with Pakistan? So much talent.
I don't know. I've put unpredictability at the bottom of my three questions. I think that covers it.
Well, they brought in Asif Ali and Kushdil Shah into the squad, who don't have the most stellar records, but the chief selector, who is Mohammed Wasim, said they may not have impressive numbers, but hardly anyone can doubt their tremendous talent. Now it's the hardly in that quote that I sort of ticked about there. The numbers aren't great, but hardly anyone could doubt them. So okay, well, I mean that was then picked up by vice captain Mohammed Rizwan when he was asked about the squad, who said, "We don't have any problems with our top order. It's the middle order."
It's refreshingly honest.
Yeah,
because. If you do wonder, if Rizwan and Azam go down, then anything can happen in that batting line thereafter. And I don't think they've been helped by not picking Fakhar Zaman, who's one of my preferred Pakistani players, not on the team at all.
Is he not the fabled son of Taunton, Babar Azam?
Babar Azam is there, so what do you want about?
Oh, you said your favourite player? I assumed Babar Azam was your favourite Pakistan player. One of.
One of. Of course, Babar Azam was my favourite.
One of my favourite Pakistani players, Sarfraz Ahmed, is not in the squad, as you've said there. I do like Sarfraz because I think he's sort of a very kind of old school cricketer in the sort of way he goes about it. Plays the game very hard, and enjoyed watching him over the years. But they brought in Azam Khan as the young backup keeper. Although I see that you have him getting in the side there ahead of Asif Ali. It's trying to solve that middle order issue, isn't it? That they grappled with over the last few years.
It is what they do have. Again, some trusty performers in the bowling department who, on their day, look world beating. You know, someone like Shahin Shah Afridi or Harris Ralph. I always love watching them bowl.
Yeah, indeed, and they're ranked 3 at the minute in the world. So, they certainly should be in the conversation for who's going to be in that semi-final and final at the end. And of course, have won it before back in 2009.
Yeah. So for me, I think they, along with India, possibly should be fancied to get out of Group 2 as the favourites.
Yes,
there you go.
I think that's fair, and I'm sure the bookmakers agree with you. I haven't checked. I don't know if you've had a look.
No, I don't. So haven't got a clue. But if anyone who's watched our channel before will know, do not listen to our predictions. They're rarely of any use at all. But what we have done there is we've had a quick canter through the 8 selected teams for the Super 12 and a look at the competition as a whole. Any other final thoughts on the T20 World Cup as we approach it, Rich?
No, I think I'd go back, Tom, to what we saw talking about halfway through. My only fear for it is that a lot of teams are going to come in having spent a lot of time traipsing around the world, either touring as international sides or guys playing franchise cricket. A lot of players would have gone straight from the English summer to the Caribbean Premier League, and then to the IPL, and then to the T20 World Cup. So I really hope that one, COVID's not an issue. I mean, we still see that flaring up now and again. That the impact of positive tests and how that puts the cat amongst the pigeons. So I hope COVID's not an issue, and I hope it's just sort of a bit of a festival of cricket, and the players are fresh enough to really sort of put on a good show of themselves. So that's my main hope for it, Tom.
Absolutely, we echo that. It's got to be part of the growth of cricket's global appeal. That's why. Otherwise, why should the ICC run it at all? Absolutely looking forward to it. I do agree about the whole fatigue thing. We've got New Zealand and Pakistan playing a 5 T20 series between now and then Pakistan playing 2 internationals against England before then as well. So if we didn't know quite what Pakistan are going to bring to the table, maybe we should do come the 23rd of October.
And it's the absurdity, isn't it? Because England are playing those T20s against Pakistan. As we've pointed out, most of the squads in the IPL, the rest of the people in that squad have withdrawn from the IPL. So, what sort of side are England putting out? What's the point? It devalues international cricket if the teams aren't putting their stronger sides out. Now, this is a conversation cricket needs to have, because international cricket has always been the primacy. A lot of people are talking at the moment about how what happened this week is that it was the moment where the IPL was more important than a Test series. Well, we need to have a mature conversation about the fact that franchise cricket exists, and a lot of players earn their living from it. It doesn't mean that they don't want to play for their countries. It doesn't mean that they don't take playing for their countries seriously. But we need to think, as we go forward into the next few decades of the game, how we schedule the balance between franchise and international cricket, and probably accept that it's not going to be the way it was for the first 100 years, 120 years of international cricket, where international cricket was absolute the prime event. Yeah,
I think I can't disagree with having an adult conversation about cricket. Otherwise, we wouldn't have a YouTube channel where we could have a conversation about cricket. But there's one last thing to say about, in defence perhaps, of the England-Pakistan games. They are going to be held in Rawalpindi, taking English cricket back to Pakistan as well. So I'm looking forward to seeing that occurring there.
Yeah, that's fair, and I think that I'm pleased to see touring sides going back to Pakistan. I thought the sacrifices that the Pakistan and the West Indies squads made last summer to spend an awful lot of time in bubbles, so that we could enjoy cricket last summer in a tough time, was something that shouldn't be forgotten. I'm really glad that they are reciprocating that way. What I'd like even more is if we sent our full strength team out there for the fans out there to watch. But But
anyway, we'll get there.
We'll get there. And I mean, at the moment, there's debate about whether the what sort of side England will send out for the Ashes, which is would have almost been unheard of a few years ago. But times have changed, and bubble life is difficult, Tom. Not that I haven't had to quarantine yet, but I assume it's difficult.
No, I'm sure it is, and we shouldn't try and guess the circumstances that a lot of these people live in. Okay, we shall move back on to cricket, though. If you're all right, Rich, we've got the World Cup to look forward to. Between now and then, CPL, Caribbean Premier League finals coming up Tuesday, Wednesday.
What's the state of the game in that one? Because I remember I thought earlier it's come to something when I'm annoyed that the CPL is not on because BT are showing 4 Champions League games instead.
Yeah.
So tell me, Tom.
We'll have to check it out. I've been preparing slide decks for you, and clearly we've got the IPL coming up as well. So we will be back shortly, I think, to discuss plenty of white ball cricket. If you've got the CPL score there,
you keep talking. I'm gonna flash it up for.
Okay. IPL, plenty to be looking forward to. We've got the finals of the Vitality Blast coming up at the weekend as well. Can't wait for those. And we've got the Rachel Hayhoe Flint Trophy. So plenty going on as well then before we get to the Bob Willis final, which will not, unfortunately, involve Somerset this time. Go on then, help me here, Rich.
All right, so 2 things to cover. So the Amazon Warriors are 114 for 5 with 5.4 overs left. So that looks a decent game in the balance. And then looking forward to this Sunday, Tom.
Yeah.
The Vitality Blast finals day. Your boys have made it through. My team are there as well. We're not playing each other in the semi-finals, so we'll both be disappointed. No, but seriously, how much are you looking forward to it, and how do you think Somerset are going to go?
I think they are going to struggle, to be brutally honest. I think they've run out of form. We haven't had an opening pair of batters for the entire season, so why should we change that now? There you go. Miracles can happen, and we do have some game-winning individuals there. Abel, in particular, I'd like to see him do well.
Yeah, I think from a Kent perspective, we talked about it in the preview. Adam Milne and Case Armour were so key for us during the, and I think both have since departed. So without them, our bowling is only 3/5 of what it was. So the batters will have to step up to make up that shortfall. I think we're playing Sussex in the semi-final. That's a very strong bowling unit, very similar to the Southern Brave bowling unit of Jordan, Garton, and Mills. So, that will take some getting past. But that's the thing about finals day. You shouldn't be too down on Somerset. You leave form at the door. You turn up, you have a good day, you're feeling good. You carry that into the final, and you emerge as the winners. 14 hours later, whatever it is. It's a long old day.
Well, you can guarantee I'll be watching it, and it will be a long old day, but it'll be a good day. Okay, Rich, let's leave it there. I think we've given the world of YouTube enough of our cricketing opinion for one evening, but I've thoroughly enjoyed that. Thank you very much, and we'll be back on the World Cup and other matters soon enough. If you've enjoyed that, please let us know with a like, a comment, and a subscription. Go on.
So we won't be mentioning the IPL at any point in the next month?
Yeah. I said that already. Well, so you were looking up Caribbean Premier League. Yeah, love the IPL. Love the IPL. No problem.
Yeah, we'll be back for some IPL chat. Don't worry. And presumably, IPL and T20 Finals Day Blast next week. So come back.
All of that. Love it, and look forward to seeing you there. Thanks for joining us here on the 100 Club.
Cheers.